Hello everyone, Ozzof101 here, back from doing with college, getting a new job, dealing with my sister not going to college, seeing you're being a pain. You know, the normal hell that a young adult like me deals with. But that conversation can wait for another day and time. Maybe when life is a little bit less hectic. Until that time, though, I would like to cover something nice and short for my comeback, and oh hey, Luggician made a new video and it was... So, some context for everyone. This is Luggician, aka Luggo, aka the person who I covered in my Yokai Watch triple commentary. Since that point, we have been in touch, and I even appeared on his channel for a Among Lug video. I do recommend looking at his content, since his content nowadays is usually really good. Personal favorite video of his being his Yokai Watch 3 review that he did. Even if he calls me out in that video, fuck you, I will rant about whatever I want. However, with all of that stated, I did not like this video he did about redundant video game reviews. So, with that said, let's get started.
I'm leaving. I don't feel welcomed here. I'm going back to Mama. Mama!
YouTube game reviews are both a blessing and a curse. They can inform people about games they may want to learn more about, while still managing to be fun viewings for people who've already played them. It's fun to hear about others' opinions, or learn something new about a game you like. Unfortunately though, not all games get this treatment, because some of them suck balls. And so they get all of their problems exposed to the world like a 14-year-old complaining about their life on Twitter. I mean, you gotta admit, sometimes it is more fun to hear about why a game is bad than why it's good. Personally speaking, the reason why my vocabulary is so wide is because I love insulting things. And explaining why a game is great is, well, kinda simple, unless if you're one of those people who gets enjoyment from making unnecessarily detailed and long reviews on children's games. On the other hand though, there's way more to talk about when it comes to bad games. It takes a lot more time to deconstruct a bad game and explain why something just doesn't work and makes the game less enjoyable. Because of this, negative game reviews tend to not only be longer, but also get more views than positive ones. Like, so long as you don't mess up your critiques or whatever, you can make a really exceptional video if the game's issues are that interesting to talk about.
I'm more pressed to disagree with that notion. You aren't technically wrong about it taking a while to go over everything that a game did wrong, but I won't necessarily say that positive reviews on games can't do the same, especially since there are plenty of games out there that can potentially provide a lot of content to dig into. As an example, Omori is a game that is received mostly positively, yet has a lot of content worth talking about, such as the story, the characters, the subject it decides to tackle, and the side content. And it's a game that, while sure has some reviews that only last a few minutes, has other reviews and even analysis videos that range from half an hour long to nearly an hour long. And I'm pretty sure that there are more examples not only in just video games, but media as a whole. While there are certainly positive reviews that are more similar, that doesn't mean it always is that way. If anything, I could argue that talking about something positively takes just about as much time as talking about something negatively. After all, you still have to deconstruct why you like something or why something worked, just as much as you have to deconstruct why you dislike something or why something didn't work. If you would like some examples, I point again to the Omori videos and how there are analysis videos about the game that you should cover the game in a positive light. Particularly one by Xavier for announcing the game as a whole, and one by Daryl Talks Games and how it handles its depiction of disassociative amnesia. Again, I'm not going to say that you're wrong in that there's usually a lot to talk about when it comes to discussing video games and to some extent media as a whole in a negative light, because you aren't. However, I feel like you're ignoring how the same could be stated for talking about something in a positive light.
I'm leaving. I don't feel welcomed here. I'm going back to Mama. Mama!
Are they valid criticisms? Yeah, but like, everyone else has said it before, and when somebody else makes a video about the game, they never stray too far from these few things. And considering just how many reviews there are for this game, it gets a little bit redundant after a while.
So, I have nothing to say about this particular section. However, I want you guys to keep this footage showing all of these reviews in mind, especially since Luggo is showing off reviews that are 3, 5, and even 6 years old. It's going to be relevant, just trust me on this.
I'm leaving. I don't feel welcomed here. I'm going back to Mama. Mama!
Something I need to stress specifically about this one is that I'm not defending it by any means. That applies to the other games as well. But like, can you think about anything unique to say about it? In my opinion, Sonic gets a lot of undeserved crap, and Forces is such an easy target that discussions about this game are beyond boring and repetitive. And they all go after this stupid story for some reason. Like, I get it, they tried harder than usual to make this one of Sonic's grander stories, and it didn't work out that well, but Who honestly cares anymore?
Oh, I don't know, Luggo. Probably the people who were expecting a decent story, especially since the marketing of Forces relied heavily on the story with moments like Sonic actually losing, Infinite's whole ordeal, Episode Shadow, returning characters in villains' roles like Shadow and Chaos, and the fact that your OC had an important role in this story. Like, I wouldn't normally be bugged by a point like this, but why blow off complaints about people talking about the story, especially for a game that Sonic Team decided to market with the story in mind? What? Did you just expect people to just ignore the thing that Sonic Team was pushing in ads leading to Force's release? That's dumb.
Name one person who hasn't made a huge deal about Tails acting like a weakling, or Sonic acting completely normal after supposedly being tortured for months. Oh, and I forgot to mention, Herder Zavik, who's that?
See these first 2 points? I'm willing to admit those are common complaints that surround the discussion of Forces, but Herder who's Zavik? You lost me there. Especially since last time I remember the main complaint with Zavik wasn't that no one knew him, it was that he was getting way more care and attention in comparison to some of the other characters who came back. Cough, cough, chaos, cough, cough. Especially given how he was a more recent villain that most of the Sonic fandom had mixed feelings on, given his role in Lost Worlds, and how the other returning characters had much more major impacts as Sonic past foes.
I mean, it's so easy to clown on this game at this point that a 3rd grader could do it. I've seen so many people point out those 2 parts of the story that I honestly stopped being bothered by those issues. I think Forces is a whatever game, there's almost nothing original to say about it anymore, and I just feel completely apathetic towards it. You can repeat it over and over again, but don't expect to get a reaction out of me aside from, okay, congratulations internet, you completely neutered my feelings about a game.
I mean, you didn't have to watch every review about Forces and could have looked for reviews of games you didn't see criticism of yet. Or heck, maybe even look out for videos that only cover specific parts about the game. For example, Triple Q has made a near 45-minute video where he covers the art style of the mainline games, and he has a particular session discussing the art style found in Forces. There's also a video done by New Frame Plus covering the animation of a nice chunk of the Sonic games, including Forces. To kind of quote Luxter when I yeeted this into the found material chat of the TCP, so you know that whole complaint commentary bandwagons get? Oh wow, you brought up all the same points, they're starting new ads, so stop talking about it? It's the same problem with this video. Like, oh no, a general consensus agree on the same criticism towards a game. I guess we just stop doing reviews now, right?
And keep in mind, all of this is coming from the same guy who just did a review on Resident Evil 0, the game that's infamous for the hookshot, monkeys, and dropping junk on the floor. But at least that game isn't talked about to death, and I think that I probably at least accomplished something by discussing why those issues didn't bother me as much anymore, and going into more detail on the game than I see most people do. Did the video turn out well? That's primarily for the viewers to decide. Point is, I felt like there's more to say with a game like that than Sonic Forces.
Are you sure that RE0 is not being talked about a lot? Because doing a quick search on YouTube gives me plenty of results covering both the original game and the remasters that later came out on current consoles. And before you point out that some of these reviews are several years old, I would like to refer back to you doing the same for Wrath of Cortex and say that it's fair game. This isn't even pointing out how maybe, and hear me out on this, there are potentially people who don't even know about these games. Like, Luggo, being real with you here, personally I have only seen one review for both Wrath of Cortex and Enter the Dragonfly, your 3rd example, a few analysis videos for Forces at most, and I never heard of a Resident Evil 0 until I watched this video. Did you ever think that while these games are often discussed, due to the passage of the time for these games, maybe the reason why new videos are being made on them is because reviewers in question could expose these flaws to a new audience? I mean, not everyone is going to watch everything. Again, quoting my pal Luxter, YouTube is a personality-based platform. Most people don't come to reviews just for points. They are there because the creator they like is making them.
For a while, I thought about reviewing the game, but it'd either end up not being that much different from every other video about it, or it'd be kind of average because, like, I'm completely desensitized to the game now. And don't try to make a needlessly long analysis on it, because that'd be like going on a 3-week expedition inside of a kiddie pool.
Why not, though? Just because a game is talked about a lot doesn't mean you can't potentially point out particular things to go into depth about something that interests you. Again, I refer back to the 2 videos I mentioned that cover art style and animation respectively.
Oh, and also there's Spyro. I haven't actually played this one, and I don't plan on doing so. People just like to point out how this game is really buggy and that you can skip to the final boss from, like, the very beginning of the game. It's kind of funny when you first learn about it, but it gets old when you hear it for the 8th time.
Who are you hearing this from? I'm even more confused since I don't know in what context could Interdragonify be considered done to death in comparison to the other two examples. Like, maybe it was potentially brought up for the Spyro remakes, but Lord knows I didn't certainly hear about it around that time. Especially with some of the things that you mentioned, such as the glitch to go to the final boss early.
The only problem with
that's
this
what I say,
theory
like,
is that
like,
it's fucking wrong!
Look, I understand that games need to be criticized and stuff. I don't think they're exempt from that. Plus, when a lot of people point out those problems, it really hammers it home to the developers, if they're actually listening, that is. But there's a certain point when I think everybody in the universe gets it, and there's nothing more you can say about it. Like I said, these games in particular are really easy to criticize, and it becomes so draining to hear about them over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Again, we are assuming that everyone on YouTube has not only heard of these games, but has also seen that many reviews on them. Not everyone is going to watch everything, and more often than not, the reason why people even know about these games is because a YouTuber that they watch happened to talk about it. There is more to a review than points. You should know this.
Somewhat unrelated, but it reminds me about how in my Yokai Watch 3 video, I said that there was a part where you could do a side quest where you can choose between 2 yokai, but you could only get one of them per playthrough. And little did I know that saying that was the biggest mistake in my entire life. I had awakened the sheer wrath of the Yokai Watch fanbase. Don't mess with us Yokai Watch fans, there's only 5 of us left. I get it, guys. I screwed up and I still make mistakes to this day, and I'm more than capable of accepting criticism. But when you're scrolling through the comments, do you ever wonder, I wonder if he knows you can actually get both the yokai? Trust me, I know.
I swear to fuck yes, always Yokai Watch. It is always this series. This series is going to follow me to the goddamn grave. Okay, but seriously, why did you add this in? I know you mentioned how it was slightly unrelated, but you literally go on a near tangent about how you were tired of receiving criticism that is only vaguely related to what you were discussing earlier. Also, why are you assuming that everyone who commented decided to look at the comment section? It's highly likely that they just commented as they watched and didn't even check the comments until way later. I get it may be annoying to deal with the same criticism over and over again. However, maybe don't assume that Yokai Watch fans are just lobsters who assumed that you didn't know after you had received your first comment about it. That's kind of a dick move to do towards people who just wanted to point out an issue.
Back on topic, you'll also occasionally get one person who starts making up problems with certain games. Like, you can criticize bad games, but just because a game's bad doesn't mean you can criticize it for any reason. That's such an unhealthy mindset. I have no clue where the sudden distaste for Super Mario 3D World came from. Like, it wasn't the best game ever, but why did people think it was complete garbage for a while? Something about it being bland and uncreative, like... Excuse me?
Man, if I have been eating spaghetti every day for years and someone serves me the best plate of spaghetti ever crafted, I probably wouldn't like it. Not because the spaghetti they made was bad, far from it. I acknowledge how well the marinara sauce and seasoning was done. It's just that my taste buds are sick of spaghetti.
What are you even talking about?
God, I love how this random spaghetti seems to be just taken out of context, and we have no way of knowing if he was or not, because guess who didn't cite his sources? Like, look, it would have been one thing if it was simple background footage to showcase the games you were mentioning, but when you're trying to prove that people are making up problems with 3D World, then it's kind of required, as otherwise it's very likely that you could have taken the guy out of context. Like, the guy here seems to be talking about the game being generic and unremarkable, and while you may disagree with that, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's incorrect, especially if it's possible for him to feel that way if he had recently got off of 3D Land, or even was just tired of the flagpole system that most Mario games have. Like, if I could bring in my own example, Nitrot goes on in his review that while he thinks 3D World is good, there are certain parts of the game that made him similarly not like it as much as others.
The only problem with this theory is that it's fucking wrong!
Man, frick you, YouTube algorithm. Now if you want to make it big, then you just gotta talk about all the popular stuff. And that's usually what starts bandwagons like this. You know, people saying the same things, sharing the same facts about the same games over and over again. It's just so tiresome. And the most recent notable example of this is Balan Wonderworld. If you somehow don't know the deal behind this game, then you're lying. Okay, so I'll make this quick for the people who were born yesterday. This little game was developed by Yuji Naka, very well known for his involvement in the Sonic series and various other Sega franchises. People were very excited to see him work on a brand new game, and the result was... Guys, I think we all get it.
Was hurting your ears like that necessary, especially for a gag about how apparently everyone is hopping onto the trend of Balan Wonderworld? Because I know my ears didn't enjoy that, especially since they're sensitive to loud noise. So thanks. I hate it.
Every single gosh diddly darn YouTuber on the face of the planet will not shut up about this game. It's supposedly a boring, repetitive disappointment, and I will say it certainly looks lackluster and unfun, but those same criticisms could apply to the videos talking about this game, and while I'm not going to defend it at all because I have no interest in spending $60 on a game like this, I will say that the scrutiny it's receiving is getting really overbearing. Everywhere I go, I hear about it, and after watching a few videos, all I can really think is there really that much to say about a game that's supposedly so boring, especially to this extent? Like, all of these videos are the exact same, say the exact same things, and they almost never teach me anything new about the game.
Okay, at this point, I have to ask, what videos did you watch involving the game? Because some of the examples shown here and earlier don't back up this claim. For example, Choctopus's videos are generally gameplay videos of him and sometimes a buddy going through the game, not unlike Alpha Rad's videos. Matt McMuxel's video isn't a review, but rather is a video analyzing what went wrong during the game's development, such as how the company Arrestus was involved in the development of the game, as well as other factors. And Austin Russian's video was covering everything that the game had to offer, as he 100%ed the game and was going over the novel that was linked to the game. None of these videos go over the same content except maybe the gameplay videos, but even then, they are gameplay videos, not reviews like we are discussing here.
I guess I can kinda see where all this is coming from, considering that bad games that receive this much attention usually have an even bigger issue surrounding it. In this case, apparently some Metacritic review scores were blatantly faked to make the game look better.
How are they fake? Do you have proof that they are fake, or is your source just trust me? Honestly, the examples that you are showing us seem to be just short reviews from people who like the game. It's not impossible for people to like a game that was heavily disliked. I should know. I'm the weirdo who enjoys playing Mega Man X7 because haha, Axel's gun go pew pew. And you know what's the funny thing about this is that Logo isn't even wrong with this claim. It's just that he used the worst examples for this stuff. I found some reviews on Metacritic that were questionable in that they had broken English, misspellings, and very weird capitalization. Oh, and like at least one review that was blatantly a negative review that decided to slap a 10 out of 10 to prove a point, but I don't think that's really counting towards the fake review stuff and was, you know, trying to prove a point. If you guys want any more proof, I recommend you check out Mac Muscle's video as he goes over more reviews and explains the situation much better than Luggo did here. Anyway, after this, Luggo states how he feels bad for the fact that Balan is doing poorly because of the work the staff put in, and then talks about how people should try to make reviews their own, and honestly, I'm tired of talking about this, so let's just get to the end. Luggo, I am certain you had decent intentions when it came to talk about how you find that certain reviews seem redundant in their points. However, your video ended up coming off as viewers saying, you all bring up the same points, there's nothing new to be talked about, so stop talking about it. Especially in cases where they're still planning to cover for certain games such as Sonic Forces and Balan Wonderworld. You also seem to be heavily focused on the points of a video when that's not the only thing that a review has going for it. While yes, points are important, entertainment value matters just as much, especially at a personality-based platform like YouTube. To bring up a commentary-related example, the SCC oftentimes has bandwagons that popped up. And while people who hop onto those bandwagons may have similar points, the way that they cover the video from presentation to humor to even what they choose to cover can make each video have its own worth. In a similar sense, the same can be said for game reviews or even anything that covers media as a whole. Sure, people may bring up similar points when discussing a game, movie, show, or whatever. However, people can still find those potential videos worth watching thanks to the personality behind the video being entertaining. While I am not going to stop you from focusing on making good points within your own views, after all, we both know what happened when I saw your earlier Yokai Watch game reviews, especially when it came to covering 2, I think you should have realized that not only is personality important for reviews like these, but also that not everyone is going to watch everything. And honestly, the best way to handle certain game dreads is to either watch videos that seem more informative or interesting to you, or to go browsing around other content on YouTube. Heck, I know YouTube has a feature that allows you to click on a video and tell them to stop recommending that content, so maybe use that? I don't know. I'm just tired and want to go back to drawing. This is Alex of 101, hopefully here to stay. See ya!